Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Live from My Mother's Basement. Obviously, now we're not in my mother's basement. We're in my studio in Los Angeles, California. But I'm very happy to be here tonight because one of my favorite stand up comedians slash actor came to visit the basement. This is Angelo Tsarouchas. Yo, brother.
Yo, brother, what's
Thank
going
you for
on,
coming
Mike?
downstairs and hanging around with the family.
Thanks for having me on with the family. I was looking for the meats hanging from the side or anything like that.
Oh, no, wait a minute. You had to go there. Quite honestly, that does happen in my family, but it happens in the garage.
Was it in the garage?
Yeah.
Because growing up in Canada, I had my Italian neighbors, the Ipolitos. So you go in the basement and they pickled everything and they made everything. The Greeks do it a little bit, but the Italians perfected it, right? They're really good with it. So whenever I was hungry, I'd go hang out in the basement.
The funniest thing is, I know that for a fact to be true because my cousins, the Boyardos, live in Toronto or
Toronto.
and they do put everything in their basements.
Yeah.
Now, my one cousin, Marco Barado, Michael, and his whole family, they have more tomato jars in that basement than any major supermarket or Walmart. It's unbelievable. They can this stuff, jar it. Don't say can. I'll probably get screamed at. It's not it. It's in a jar.
It's in a jar,
which they recycle.
Right.
And I don't mean in the garbage. They recycle. They wash it. And they keep it for the following season.
Right.
And not only that, then there is the supersad, the pepperoni, and all those Italian delicacies.
All the
and
pepperoncini and
yes,
stuff. All the pepperoncinis and all the other stuff. I mean, Italians were recycling and reusing way before it was fashionable.
Yes.
You guys were ahead of the game.
And it's delicious.
Yeah.
And another thing, another fact about that, in New Jersey, we call it the basement. In Toronto, they call it the cellar.
The cellar.
It's a little bit different.
Yeah, they say we use basement, but or a lot of times they say we're going in the cellar.
It sounds
like somebody's going to get tortured
Somebody's
or
going to
something.
get killed.
It's like we're going to this. Let's go to the cellar. Like, why? I'm just going to go down. I want to show you some stuff.
Isn't it funny? So if my cousin said, "Come on over, we're going to go down the cellar," I know we're going to eat.
Right.
What they call in Canada a mangy cake. If you were to ask a mangy cake, "Come on, we're going down the cellar," he goes, "No, I'd rather not go."
I'd rather go. So in Jersey, mungy cakes would be called milk toast.
We never even used that term. I never heard that term until I went to Canada.
Because they say cake. And another thing I never understood about ethnic families, especially Italians, they have a kitchen, like upstairs, and they have another show. That's the showcase kitchen, and the cooking kitchen is in the basement, right? I don't.
He called it a showcase kitchen.
Yeah, it's like a show. You walk in. No. The Italians have like a showcase couch and a showcase. I don't have to tell you. Everything's a showcase, and then we're gonna go to the basement. But what about upstairs? No, don't talk about upstairs. Don't look at upstairs. Go downstairs. And then they're cooking. Yeah, are known as cooking. I don't know. So I always found it funny.
I don't even know why it is that way, but you're 100% accurate. Because I remember when I was a little kid, and somebody would come in the front door. My mother would go, "Why'd they come in the front door? Who are they? They have to go around the back, cut through the kitchen, and go down the basement." Because my mother had a runner on the shag rug, which was some kind of plastic thing with needles on the bottom. You had to walk on a runner, and then you looked at the living room like it was on display. It was like the IKEA of the 1960s. And like, "Oh, wow, what a nice living room." And you kept on going. Then you saw the kitchen. "Oh, what a nice kitchen." Then you kept on going till you went down the stairs.
Downstairs.
"Oh, what a shitty place. This is where we're eating."
It was like going to Ashley Furniture. You walk through. Do we sit here? No. You go downstairs, and there's no one cooking up, staring at you. But it was the best meal you ever had.
And you had it whenever you wanted.
Whenever you wanted. And then you got a jar. You got like a souvenir jar. If you were a guest, little souvenir jar.
Something to go.
Something to go here.
Take this to go. But isn't the Greek people just like that?
Yeah, I think, it's funny because our cultures are so similar. Except for language, a few things, it's almost identical. And so much so that growing up, now you couldn't do this now, Mike, but growing up, it depended which ethnic parent was on the block who got the beats. So it was like Rosa, it's her time. Then it was my mom, Despina, or the other one. So if the kids were acting up, the moms had permission to beat the crap out of any of the three kids. Like it was just like parental block beatings. And it was okay because now it's like, I don't like the way you talk to my child. In those days, it was like, no, go for it. Everybody, it was a verbal commitment.
Parental block beatings.
Because we had block parents in Canada.
Yes.
Remember, did they have them in the States?
Yes. In Jersey City, in the city where I was born, we had block parents. We never called them block parents. We never called it a parental something beating. But your neighbors could kick the living shit out of you. And then you went home and your father would say, why did Joe down the block have to crack you in the ass?
Yeah.
What did you do that made him do that? And then you got hit again by your father.
By your dad. And it was okay.
Yes.
I think they had the same values where, and it's funny because in Canada, I think block parents, what was the prerequisite to become one? Did you get a sign and you just put it there's some weird, you go there, it's a safe place. Do you know the guy? I don't know. It's so funny because now I don't think you'd be allowed to do that now.
You ever hit somebody else's kid, you're going to jail, your family's going to jail, everybody's going to jail. But I do remember in my time growing up on that block, you had to be careful about somebody else's parents or from somebody else's parents. I remember when I was a little kid, we would sit on the porch, or the stoop is what we called it. You sat on the stoop and you watched the cars going up and down the block. One little kid stepped out into the traffic. He got hit by a car and everybody comes out of their house. My father went right to me and my two brothers and cracked us right in the fucking head, knocked it right on the ground. And he go like this, how'd that happen? How did that happen? We're like, a little kid, you're like this big. I don't fucking know. He ran between the cars. You see that? That's what's going to happen to you if you don't pay attention. I'm like, Dad, he's right there. He's bleeding in the street, man.
I'm laughing because he gave you the beats first and then asked you what happened. Yeah. Most people would be like, so let me ask you, Michael, did you do that? No, you're like, cough, a few shots. Yeah. Why did it happen? Mm-hmm. So he already knew that somebody fucked something up. That is so, nowadays they want, you have to discuss things with your kids and the neighbors are watching, and those are good days.
Listen to this. My mother would go like this. My father, we'd all be sitting down to dinner. Your mother said, Sister Nicolina called. They had a crack you in the head. What'd you do? It was never a question of, did anybody else do anything wrong? What did you do that made this nun crack you in the head? Mind you, my father had the same teachers and the same nuns when he was a kid. So you can imagine what they look like when you're sitting there at 8 years old or whatever age you are. Yeah. And here comes a nun that taught your father. And they remember.
Well, that's
your
Marino's
father was
kid.
A pain in the ass. Don't you be a pain in the ass. I also had your older brother last year. I had to crack him in the head twice. Or how about this one? Does anybody even remember this? Go sit in the corner and face the wall.
Yeah, we had that.
Sit in the corner and face the wall. And you sat in that chair. You turned around. You faced the wall, and you started crying. And everybody in that classroom heard you crying. And then you remember the crying sniffles?
Or the quivering lip. Remember, go to your corner. The quivering lip. You're trying to suppress it, but you're bawling, and then you go inside after. Then the kid that made fun of you after, you go in the recess, you beat the fuck out of him.
Yes.
You made me laugh. Dish, couple of shots.
I remember.
We did good parenting advice show here.
I wish I was. I'm not a parent, but if I was, I'd crack the fuck out of my kid. I know I would. Don't be like the other kids. What's the matter with you? My brother Paul was 1 year older than me. So when we were in grammar school, we looked identical. And we used to trade classes.
Right on. Really?
So, Paul, listen, I'm really not doing good in arithmetic. Remember, arithmetic. I'm not doing good in arithmetic. He goes, I got you. We'd switch classes. Because we had thick blonde hair, blue eyes, same height, 1 year apart. We looked identical. Everybody thought me and my brother Paul were twins. My younger brother got green eyes like my father, and he had a little bit darker hair, but we all looked identical. So, and my brother played the trumpet, and that's how we got busted one day, because I played the drums. So I forgot where I was, and somebody said, "Where's your trumpet?" And I'm like,
"Oh, I left it at home. I brought my drums instead. I brought my drums. We thought that would work better." So it's funny you said raviolis, I'll make a confession here. It's a munja cake confession. As a kid, I love Chef Boyardee, only the ravioli. It was good. We used to take it to school and lunch, have it for lunch.
I can only say if my mother was sitting here right now, she'd start crying.
Or I get the beats from your mom. Who eats this?
It's just like glue or garbage in a can. It's like spam.
It is.
I remember Chef Boyardee, and in New Jersey, the Mitigans, which is Italian for Americans.
The Mitigans.
The Mitigans is Italian for American. Like your slang would be the manja cake, meaning
cake.
a white guy.
Italians, yeah.
Manja cake is a white cake with
white guy,
cream.
cake eater.
A cake.
Cake eater.
Yeah,
Manja cake.
Yeah.
Cake eaters.
Thank God we can actually say this still.
We can. And we call them, shorten it, cakes.
Yeah.
What do the cakes want?
The cakes.
The cakes.
Chef Boyardee, if anybody even knows the whole history of this, I actually do.
Do you? Cool. I didn't know.
Because they started in San Francisco.
Oh, really?
San Francisco has a huge Italian community because it's one of the biggest import-export places in the world.
Yep.
And, of course, they have the Girardelli Square. Chef Boyardee is Boyardee is his real last name, and he's Italian, of course, he's from Italy. And he learned a way to, and so did other people, to put something in a can without it going bad. I don't know what you call that. Chemicals, maybe.
Yeah.
Shit that you shouldn't be eating in a can. And then there was Chef Boyardee mini raviolis, which is what you're saying that you like.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, everybody liked them. I liked them. And if you gave me a can of Chef Boyardee mini ravioli right now and I was stoned, I would eat them right out of the can.
And they're so tasty.
Don't say they're tasty. There's just something
when you're
about
stoned.
it when you're stoned.
Not in regular life, but in stoned life. Oh, this is the best ever.
But also in the can, what you're saying you didn't like, which basically it actually did taste the same. Mini-O's.
I remember Mini-O's. And you had meatball
Mini-O's. Mini meatballs.
Mini meatball Mini-O's.
Spaghetti in a can. There's many. There must have been about 10 different types of Chef Boyardee.
There was the collection of Chef Boyardee.
Get the collection. Maybe you should get them as a sponsor.
You ever see that commercial with the little fat kid, and he's in school and he pushes it away? Do you call it this a food? And he climbs up to the mountain. It's a little young Chef Boyardee, and he goes, "One day, everybody gonna thank me for it."
Yes, I do remember
little
that
heavy
commercial.
Kid.
Stereotyping
him. Anyway,
but it fits.
But I like when people do a fake Italian accent. Hey, Mike, they always go, "One day, everybody gonna thank me," and it's a funny thing. Even I think Americans and Canadians, when you tell them Italians or Greeks, they got this preconceived notion of what it is, and they're always like doing even for me. They go, "Oh, you're Greek, huh? Opa." And there's one thing I have to tell you, Mike. I gotta confess this, and a comic student, a lot of other people do it. For me, whenever people go out and they meet somebody who's Greek, they call me, "Hey, Ange, this guy's Greek. Talk to him." Fuck yourself. I don't want to talk to him. It doesn't mean I like all the Greeks. And even Russell did it to me. He was at a restaurant. The waiter's Greek. He goes, "You know Angelo Tsarouchas? Yeah, I'm going to call him right now." And he calls him up and go, "You want me to, when I'm at a restaurant, I see an Indian guy. Hey, Russell? Here, let's call him. Here, hey, Russell, this guy's Indian. Say something Indian to him." And all my friends do that to me. Do they ever do it to you with Italians?
Yes. Yeah.
I know in Montreal they did it to you. Because I remember the time I had to go to the restaurant. I was there with Mike in Montreal. We were doing the festival. I remember the story. And you may not remember this. You're doing the festival, and they invited you to this Italian restaurant, really nice one, for lunch. You go, "Oh, this is cool." But when you got there was like 40 people waiting there.
Yes.
Because they wanted to meet Mike.
Yes.
So what they do, what ethnic people do, is they invite you, going, "Oh, yeah, hey, Mike, you want to come? We have a nice lunch." "Oh, all my cousins and friends are here, man." So that's the term, no free lunch. But I remember you going, "And they invited me. They were really nice." And they're nice. They're very hospitable. But you got to sign about 40 pictures and take pictures with them. So.
Yeah, but that's actually the joy and what we actually hope for. I met Angelo in the Montreal Comedy Festival.
Yeah.
I don't know how many years ago it was. But it took forever to get to be part of the Montreal Comedy Festival. And when I first went, I was in the Wise Guy show, which was the all Italian comedians. And I believe Frank Spadone was in the show.
Right.
which is a fellow comedian friend of ours from Canada.
And they put me in the show as Angelo T. They
Was
didn't
that
have
right?
enough acts, remember? So they put me in as Angelo T. And it says the thing, because I was Greek. And the theme was you don't have to be, and it's funny because I'm on your show with a name like Angelo on the Make America Italian Again. And the funny joke is it's revealed. So everybody thinks, even when I do television and film stuff, Mike, they all think I'm Italian, which I have no problem with. But I remember at that time they put me in as Angelo T. And it was you, Frank Spadone, a couple other people. And they said, and then they said, we're going to change it. You don't have to be Italian to be a wise guy. It's their way of trying to make it inclusive.
I so specifically remember when we got to perform together at the Montreal Comedy Festival. They were huge audiences.
Big.
Then they turned it into the Ethnic Heroes, and you were hosting, and that was the first time I had ever seen the Bixie bike. Is it Bixie?
Yeah, the Bixie, but those ones in Montreal that you rent.
You borrow a bike. It was called borrowing at the time,
Yeah.
but you basically give $1, and you ride the bike wherever you want, and then you put it back in the rack. Now it's extremely popular. It's everywhere in the world. A lot of people around here in California, New York, everybody's doing it, right?
Right.
I actually never did it. But I remember walking out on stage and you go, here's the Italian guy for the Italian portion of the show. And I walked out on stage and I go, I just want to tell you, I really appreciate you letting me borrow one of those bikes. In fact, I borrowed 40 of them. I put them in a truck and they're on their way down to Jersey. But don't worry, I'll bring them back. And the place just lost their fucking minds.
That was funny. That was a fun festival when we did that. And Montreal's such a great place to be in July, not in January.
Yes.
But in July. But it's funny because the nice thing about performing in a city like Montreal is especially for guys like us, they adopt you. They're like, oh, okay, you're going to come to my place. You're going to come to the thing, you know? And it's funny how it's always nice to hear from other people when they go, hey, do you know Mike Marino? Or do you know this guy? Yeah, I like him, man. We hung out a bit. And I go, yeah, of course, you know. And that's, you're right. It's the good thing about the job. And especially for us, no shortage of food.
Yes.
Italian and Greeks were like, they want to bring it to their restaurant.
They have an area of Montreal that I think you cross a street and you're in Little Italy. You cross the street.
Right.
And they changed the language.
Right.
As that was the most unbelievable thing, that they changed the language from French first or English. You crossed the street and everybody was speaking Italian. And I don't speak Italian. I felt like an idiot.
And they speak it in old dialects.
Yes.
Because you know, Montreal, Mike, there's 5 families in New York. Montreal's considered the 6th family. Because
now wait a minute. And I was thinking we were the 6th family. Maybe we're the 7th.
7th, but there's a book called The 6th Family.
Oh, is that right?
Because Joe Bonanno had to leave in the 40s, whatever, 30s, and he ended up going to Montreal for 2 years to make contacts. So a lot of those guys in the life would go to Canada. And even in The Sopranos, they talk about one episode where they go up to Montreal and they're making deals. So I always find it funny that in Montreal, that's why they liked you so much, because first of all, you're hilarious, but second of all, they can identify with you. And I think it's the same. I think in comedy, I think if they can identify with your personality, and then it doesn't matter what you're telling them, they understand it. You're like that guy that, you know, that's hanging out with them and go, what's this guy fucking looking at? You know, what are you looking at? You know? And then there's one joke. My friends quote me when you say it. And the tagline, I think, is, well, we're not going to see that guy anymore.
Oh, is that right?
And then my friend comes up to me the other day and he said it to me. He goes, well, we're not going to see that guy anymore, are we? And I go, laugh. I go, hold on, I know that. He goes, Mike Marino. So it's good when people quote your catchphrase. Vinny, get the bat.
Well, I used to do Vinny, get the bat quite some time ago. This particular catchphrase, I think it's kind of crazy because people confuse it. It's actually, I don't know what happened, but he's gone now. And there's nothing you can do about it, which is a play on words out of Goodfellas.
Goodfellas,
when he's in the phone booth.
We did our best.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
We did our best.
But a lot of people said that my whole life.
Right.
You know, when we were little kids, hey, you know, so-and-so, Johnny, he squealed on Steve. Oh, you keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, don't talk about it.
But it's all over the playground, Dad. Everybody knows. Shut up. You don't know nothing.
It's so true, isn't it? Like now people are like they got their phones out. We're living in a society of rats. You can't do anything now. Everybody's got their phone out. He did that. I saw him. And in the old days, it was like, what? I didn't see nothing. You could go through the whole neighborhoods, anywhere those neighborhoods, and the guy could get the crap beaten out of him in the middle of the street. Cops would, you see anything? Nope. Were you sitting right here? No, I was inside, I guess, at the time when it happened. Because they knew then there was a code, and you don't want anybody to get really hurt, but some people deserve it. But it was also a way of protecting neighborhoods. You wouldn't fuck around in certain neighborhoods because you're going to pay the price for it.
And nobody ratted on anybody.
No.
Even if it was a little rat. I remember when the Good Humor ice cream truck would come down the street. And he's ringing the bell, singing the song, whatever the song is, with that creepy face with the snow cone. And all the kids would be chasing after. And my mother would go up in the building, and the window overlooked the street. And she would take change, because it wasn't that much money to buy a couple ice pops. And she put it in a napkin and let it fall out the window. By the time it got down to the ground, the change would bust.
All over.
Right. So a lot of kids would go running after the coins. I remember this one kid, they called him Tough Toe. And even Johnny Frieda lived on that block. Remember Johnny Frieda from the episode?
Yeah. Right.
One or two of the episodes. And they would take your money, buy the ice cream, and then you say, hey, man, you just bought that ice cream with the change my mother threw down from the window. And you're going to go like this. No, I found it over there. Your mother threw change. It landed over there. I got this coin from over here. And then they just eat it. And you couldn't do anything about it because you get your ass kicked.
But they rationalized it. Yeah. No, your money was there. The one I found was over here. But it came from my mother. No, it didn't. So why is the guy called Tough Toe?
Because he'd kick your ass with his foot.
Oh, with his foot. I was going to say Tough Toe.
Imagine that everybody had a nickname.
Yeah, Tough Toe.
And whatever the hell it was.
In Canada, they were mean to me. They used to call me Angelo. Hey, Angelo. I go, fuck off, man.
See, I'm
Angelo.
have to call you Angelo.
And my name,
fucking hilarious.
And my name in Greek is Vageli. It's Vagelis. And then the kids will hear Vageli and they call me, and this is what they said years ago, Fageli. Hey, Fageli. I go, it's Vageli. Va, not fa. Va. Vageli. Vago. So funny. Because my mom couldn't speak English. So we had to speak Greek. And a lot of times is that the kids didn't understand in the neighborhood that, we're Greek. And my mom was young when she came to Canada. And she could only speak Greek. And eventually she learned how to speak English, which created comedians like us. Because for me, it was always something that, at home I had to speak Greek. And then go to school or work and to speak English. So there was always that thing. But then I realized later on in life, those were the memories that were the funniest. So you're able to take those things,
and bring it into your comedy.
Like when you're talking about Jersey, I so see it. It's like when you're up there and then you're talking about stuff, right away, you're taking me to where you are. And I think that's so important for comedians, that you can take people and put them right where you were. Mike Marino, 10 years old, Angelo, 13 years old, whatever. And you're bringing them there and you can see my dad had dyslexia. So when he swore, he didn't know, his English wasn't good. So instead of motherfucker, he'd say fuck's mothers. You fuck's mother, suck cocker, salami bitch. So then, and I go, Dad, it's not fuck's mothers. It sounds like a chocolate bar. What the fuck's a fuck's mother? But he was so heated up, you couldn't correct him. And then he always said this to us: when you talk to me, you shut up. When you talk to me, you shut up. Dad, you don't know what the fuck you're smoking feta. I don't know what you're doing. But it's so funny because we heard it our whole lives, and then later on it was like
smoking feta.
And later on it was like, and then I realized I was fucking stupid. But then at the time you were scared of your dad, you wouldn't say shit back to him. And then later on in life he goes, did that really happen? All of it. And I think that's why a lot of people can relate to that. Because when you're telling me the stories about, the neighbors and going to school and all, it's exactly the same thing, parallel universe, just different scenarios.
I never thought I'd get to the age where I would say the good old days. But I do remember when we moved from the city to the suburbs, me and my two brothers actually had city in us. We didn't know there was a such thing as the suburbs. You lived on a block in a building where you knew everybody in the building.
Right.
So you could actually go trick-or-treating just in your building and fill your bag. Then all the other so-called row homes were all attached to each other, and the buildings were attached to each other. So on one corner there was a deli, on the other corner was the Italian deli and the butcher. So you never had to leave the block. Plus, your parents scared the hell out of you. If you leave this block, on the other side, something's going to happen to you. So don't ever leave the block. So you didn't know there was actually another world out there. You really weren't watching television.
Because you used to go outside and play.
You go outside and play. Now, how did you go outside and play? A stick. If somebody had the ball, the pink ball was called the high bouncer.
Yeah.
You played stickball. You had to wait for the cars to go up and down.
Yeah.
When it was summertime, you played when the water from the rain went up and down the city streets. You played in the puddle.
That was the wave pool. The wave pool.
You played in the puddle. Now we move to the suburbs, and there's a house with a lawn and some trees, and you see kids playing on the block. And I remember saying to my brother Paul, "That kid's got a football. Look, they're playing. What do we got?" I got the stick from the block.
I got my stick.
You got a football.
That's hilarious.
And then what's the first thing city kids think? Let's steal it.
I was going to say, how do we get it?
Let's get it from him. Then he has to play with us. Then you eventually start making suburbanite friends. You know? Remember when you went to school in the suburban area or the whatever it was that was so different? And I remember we were playing dodgeball. That was the first thing you started playing in second grade, dodgeball. With that
love dodgeball.
Ugly ball.
It was fun.
And I remember my brothers going like this. Look at this ball. This ain't going to hurt anybody. Give me the softball.
Give me the softball. This is going to hurt him really bad.
Yeah, look, hit him in the head.
But you know what's funny? You'd steal the football from your neighbors and then you'd throw it back in their yard again and go back and re-steal it. In Canada, we used to play street hockey.
Yeah.
So you'd play street hockey, and then it was so funny to play street hockey, and then car, and then you had to pick up the nets, move over, and then the guy would drive by and he'd put the nets back, and you could play hockey again. And then it was like, we could do that all day. You could play till 8, 9 o'clock at night. And I see my kid now with an iPad.
Yeah.
I go, "You want to go outside and play?" She goes, "What?" I go, "Let's go outside and play. Let's go to the park or something." "Oh, I'm on level 37. Can we wait till I get to level 40? I'm like, "Fuck me, man. I could go outside and play."
I remember my mother would go, "You see the street lights? If they come on and you're not in the house, your father's going to knock the shit out of you." Half of us used to stare at the light.
When's the light going to come on? But think about it. This is way before technology, all the enhancements we had. When the lights come on, you're home. They figured it out. So simple. So you knew you're outside playing with your brothers and your friends. Lights come on. Okay, fuck off, guys. I got to go home. And now we have all this technology, FaceTime and all these texting and everything. And people go, "Oh, I didn't get your message."
Yeah.
Bullshit. We have more technology now than ever.
Yep.
And nobody get your message. I sent a message. "Oh, there was a flare." One guy told me, no bullshit. He goes, "Oh, there was a solar flare and it must have affected my phone." A solar flare. What sci-fi movie were you watching? It was a solar flare. It affected my phone.
I don't even know what the hell that is.
Yeah.
A solar flare.
Yeah. I don't know.
I hardly even know what a solar eclipse is.
I don't know.
So you've been doing stand-up for quite some time. How long are you in the industry?
Well, I've been doing it, paid, full-time paid since 1998.
It's a long time.
Long time. But I was doing it even before. So I started off in Ottawa, in the 80s. And it's so funny because I remember amateur night. In those days, Mike, you would do Thursday was a show, and after the regular show, they had an amateur night. It wasn't a separate night.
So are you talking about Yuck Yucks?
Yuck Yucks. And I remember...
Yuck Yucks is one of the most famous comedy chains in Canada, right?
Yes.
Stretches out from coast to coast. Coast to coast.
And and I started off
Does
in
it still
Ottawa.
exist?
Still there. Yeah, it's still there. Howard Wagman is still there. He's a very good friend of mine in Ottawa. And it's funny because the other night, I'll bring it to the story for Canada. At the Canada show we did at the Comedy Store, they asked me to induct 2 nominees to the Canadian Comedy Hall of Fame. It's a new thing they're doing. And the 2 inductees who've now passed on was Mike McDonald and Norm MacDonald.
Oh, okay.
You know, and and it's so funny because I knew both those guys, and I worked with both those guys. And an amateur,
I know Norm McDonald.
Norm.
Who's Mike?
Mike
Is that
was
his
a
brother?
legend. He was no, they were not related. Mike was in the '90s, in the '80s and '90s, and he was a rocket. He was one of the best comics to come out of Canada, and he lived in the States. He lived in Glendale, and he got sick towards the end, and he had to go back to Canada because of the healthcare costs. And another legend, what legends? And I remember amateur night Mike in Ottawa would be Jeremy Hotz, Norm MacDonald, Tom Green, myself, a few other guys. And I thought, now you look back and you're like, these guys are like, we had Jeremy Hotz, who's a killer, on the show the other night. And you look back now, and those were the days when people did comedy. You'd watch the comics, you watch their technique. And I worked as a bartender, so I used to be behind the bar serving, because that's how you try to get into the comedy clubs. You try to work at them. And I watched the comics, and I saw lots of great comedians. And I loved watching the comedians. I loved watching their technique, and you learn. Now everybody's busy.
I always wanted to get Jeremy Hotz in the project that we do, Make America Italian Again, because I thought he'd make a great chicken shit lawyer who's afraid of what we do.
He'd be perfect for that,
isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Because he seems like he's a chicken shit guy in real life, but when he's on stage, he's going like this.
Yeah,
that would never be a good idea.
Yeah, it's not a good
I can't
idea.
even do him justice. Oh, I'm so afraid of.
And
my
he's
own
got his
shadow.
hand on the wall.
Yes.
He's so funny though, man. He was on. He's like he's doing his tour, and I've known Jeremy for a long time. Like we started doing comedy in the '80s. That's how far back I've known Jeremy. So I've known him for a lifetime. You know, it's funny now. Some comedy relationships are longer than other relationships we've had in our lives. People you know. And with you, it's funny because we became instant friends, and then we may not see each other for 6 months, and then I'll be like in Cozumel.
Yeah.
I'm on one ship, and then there's Mike. Hey man, let's go get a drink, and then quickly, you know, I hear him with Mike. We're in Cozumel in the port because you know we were alone, and then, hey Mike, what's going on, man? And we're there, so it's always nice. And the good thing with friends, you can pick up where you left off. You know, it doesn't have to be, hey, what's going on? You know, and that was so cool. And I call my wife. I go, I ran into Mike Marino and Cozumel. She goes, oh, that's nice. You know, like it's. Because it's so weird. I don't live that far from you here. I probably won't see it here. But then we're on the other end of the world. Hey, man, what's going on?
Well, that's just the way it is in a comic's life, because we get to go all around the world, which is one of the greatest things about doing what we do.
Mm-hmm.
But we always want more. I mean, I know we make a great living. We get to entertain for a living, and we've been everywhere. But, of course, film, television, podcasts, series, web series, whatever. I like it, and I want it all. And I enjoy performing with guys that we have chemistry. We know our place in the food chain, how we can make things funny within scenes. Recently, you saw the CC when I sent you that fan letter from
Yes,
Italy.
I saw that. That was amazing.
Isn't that great?
That's great.
And
I mean,
this
all the
guy-
way in Italy.
This guy has written on my YouTube channel many times. I got
Cool.
a fan letter from a fan in Italy, and what he was saying was he enjoys all the comedy that I put out on the internet. But the one specific thing at the bottom, he says, and I can't stop watching The Pizza Guy.
Everybody loves the Pizza Guy
fucking-
episode.
it's
Jay Davis was great in that. And then Mike, take him in the kitchen. I was fucking laughing. Like, we're doing this thing. Mike had wrote this episode, The Pizza Guy. And if you don't mind me jumping in here,
Sure.
and the whole thing was, how did the pizza guy get to the house? Who gave him the address? So Mike goes, hey, come here. Who gave him the address? Well, we wanted to get some pizza. Well, why'd you give him the address? Well, Mike, how are we going to get the pizza? Nobody gives him the fucking address. I thought it was brilliant that we wanted to get pizza delivered, but don't give the guy the address.
Anybody can make, you know, what's really funny, after all these years that this project was done, this one episode,
That was fucking brilliant.
it's getting more fan mail now than it did when we were actually
But it's
doing it,
hilarious.
because it's silly.
And then me and Mark go with the dialogue. Why don't you fucking
That's-
do it? You know, I said, you know, but the whole thing with you is like, you got the pizza guy, and he goes, who told you to come here? Glenn. Who the fuck is Glenn? And this is Mike, who's Glenn? Okay, take him to the kitchen. So now they've taken the pizza guy hostage in the kitchen. Who gave you the address? Glenn? Who the fuck is Glenn? And who gave him the fucking address? It was so funny because it's so stupid, but it was funny. Like the pizza guy, you're holding the pizza guy for delivering pizza to an address that he shouldn't have had.
Right.
Brilliant.
It's
Funny. You gotta watch it. You gotta find it. It's so funny.
So many people now that have written about this bit take away something completely different from somebody else.
Yeah.
So this guy wrote, "What are you doing? You shaking me down? Is that what you're doing? You shaking me down?" Which is the dialogue that was in it. And he said, "This is the funniest thing I've ever seen." So if I could just explain from my point of view what was really going on as well. And so we all got together and we were making this project, and I thought the idea would be funny is the mob is wondering, how did the pizza guy know where we were? Because this is the secret location.
Right.
For the heads of the families having a meeting.
Right.
Which is ridiculous. And Jay Davis, I don't know if it was rehearsed or how he did it. And I said, "How did you get here? Who told you where we are?" And he goes, "The phone guy." And I go, "Tell me about this phone guy." And he says his name is Glenn. I don't even know how that happened. I was having a hard time keeping a straight face. And then it works like a charm. And everybody gets the whole idea is just really silly. But, quite honestly, when we were doing this, if I could tell everybody who are watching, when you go to the YouTube channel and you watch this actual episode, I wasn't really 100% sure if this was going to be that funny. And it makes you wonder, is anybody going to get what we're doing? The ridiculousness of I'm giving him money to keep him to shut his mouth. And he's saying, "I'm never going to forget this. This is the greatest tip I've ever gotten."
It was, the comedy wrote itself. It was
Right.
improv and written.
Right.
And Mike, when you did that, you see, I think that's where everybody's taking a different, it's like watching Pulp Fiction. Everybody watches Pulp Fiction, they get a different thing out of it. And same with that episode was so well done. It's so fun. I've watched it about 6-7 times myself. It's hilarious.
So at that, we have to shout out to the other people who are behind the scenes.
Yes.
Because I think sometimes a lot of people behind the scenes never get their due. Everybody looks at us, "Wow, you guys are geniuses." And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Because I remember we were working with my team. The team is, of course, Tatiana Bluchel, who produces this podcast live from my mother's basement.
Yeah.
And her husband, who's directing all these projects.
Right.
And almost everything that I do, Cody.
Good. Yeah, she's the one with the purple hair, right? That chick there. She's the one.
Yeah.
I like her hair. It's really cool.
But I remember saying to Cody, "Is this funny? Do you think this is going to play?" But I think in the editing, when the director puts his hands on it, it made it funnier than what I thought it was going to be. So when I watched it, I'm like, "Fuck yeah, that's what I wanted." Yeah.
That thing there.
So it's kind of like they actually do it more than we do it. And I never saw you and Marco improv. I wasn't there. I guess I went in the other room.
Right. You're doing something else.
Yeah, and the joke is, okay, you guys do what you do. Just do a light-hearted. Right. So when Cody was directing you guys and Tatiana was producing you guys, I don't even know where I went. Maybe I was concerned with getting food, making sure I took care of Georgia, who owns this beautiful house that we shoot in. And then I looked at it and I was like, jealous. Because I'm like, wait a minute. These guys just hit a fucking home run. I should have been in that scene. But that's what we want, because you have to understand, too, when you have an ensemble cast that's grooving, you have to cheer for the other guys. You want them to be great.
It adds to the
I don't
story.
need to outshine anybody. In fact, I almost feel like I'm going to play the straight guy.
Like you're like a Seinfeld in your own episodes. But that was a good one. That episode reminded me of a Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Because it had that cadence, and then you have the side talk with me and Marco. Did you call? I fucking called. It wasn't me. You called. You fat fucking.
All right.
It was that thing going on.
I think one of the funniest things is when he says to you, "You're going to eat it, right?" And you go, "Well, I'm not going to waste it."
I mean,
did you get the pepperoni?
It's here. It's like,
This is one of the reasons why when we did the other episode, when you say, I say, make sure you find a nice Italian restaurant. And you go, why an Italian restaurant? I'm Greek. I never said I was Italian. You said I was Italian. And then I go, we'll find a Greek restaurant. And that came because we were talking. You go, I'm Greek, right?
Yeah, I'm Greek. No, you're Italian.
Put that in there. That's funny.
Mike said put it in there, which is hilarious. But you know, some people get baptized. It's like the guy goes, "What's your name?" Frank. I'm gonna call you Franco. Yeah, I'm Serbian. Now you're Italian. It's so funny that and life's like that, and people do that. They go, no, you remind. If I remind people, Ange, I'll be goes, Ange, where you going? What are you doing? And he goes, you remind me of my cousin. I was in Chicago, and the guy said I reminded him of his cousin. Italians, and they're Calabrese. And he goes, yeah, you remind me of my aunt. Goes, I'm Greek. Nah, man, you're Italian. They wanted you to be Angelo. Ange.
But you're actually full bilingual. You speak.
Yeah, I speak full Greek, because my mom couldn't speak English. A little bit of French because of Montreal, not much. But I'm conversational Greek, 100%. And it'd be funny. I thought later on, if we do more of these episodes, it'd be funny where maybe there's a situation where somebody Greek shows up and then, hey, is it anybody here speak Greek? And all of a sudden they start talking, yes, no, Mike, and you start doing that and you guys go, what the fuck's the guy saying? And I think comedy, I love left field comedy. I like comedy when you don't expect it. Coming. You don't see it coming.
I remember when we went to your friend's place in Montreal. He's my friend too, but I think you know him really well. The Italian kid.
Guido Grasso.
Guido Grasso.
Yeah, Sapporo de Napoli.
Yes.
Sapporo
it was great in there, but I remember we went to a Greek place and you ordered for everybody.
Yeah, we went to
Jardin. I'll take care of it.
We went to Jardin the Panels, which was really good. And he's a comedy fan, so we had fun. That was Montreal. It's one of those places, especially when you go eat. It's one of those places that you bring your friends together, go out and hang out. I mean, I love Montreal, especially I miss it. I was just there about a month ago. I took the family, and I saw Yanni. Funny enough, I talked to Yanni at Jardin. He brought up the pizza episode.
Is that right?
I watched it. He goes, the episode with the pizza guy was fucking hilarious, man. I go, it is hilarious. I mean, they're all good. They're all great. All the episodes, but that one for some reason sticks out for everybody.
Honestly, I think one of the reasons why it's one of the best episodes is it was the full cast.
The full cast was in it.
Was it everybody? Maybe we were missing.
No, I think you had full cast.
A full cast, and then when we did the party scenes out by the pool, and they had the girls.
Oh, and I started laughing, man. Remember that? Marco was making me laugh that day. We did it. It's the way he was there. He goes, "Hey, Mike, what's going on?" He reminded me of these guys that those pool parties on Sundays. Those guys trying to pick up chicks, they're awkward, they can't.
Yeah.
And he made me laugh. So he goes, why are you laughing so much? I go, you're fucking funny, dude. Stop making me laugh. So we were laughing, even while we were doing it, we were laughing. It was fun. It's a lot of fun.
Well, we hope and pray that we're going to get back on that set and continue that series or make it into a movie or something. Something wonderful is going to be happening. I miss everybody. I miss what we were doing. I miss, the pandemic, of course, threw a big wrench into that whole thing. And it affected everything and everybody all around the world, and especially, let's say, entertainers who now have to constantly get checked. We entertain on cruise ships, and I'm going to go back on a cruise.
You're going soon, right? You're going to go back on...
I did a few already. They were empty. Getting all the checkups before you go on the ship is a pain in the ass.
Right.
But now they seem to be back up and running at full capacity.
Right.
Well, you only have to get the quick rapid test to get on the ship.
Do you still want the rapid test?
A rapid test the day before you get on the ship. Which is wild, because what if you tested positive? How are they going to replace you in 24 hours?
I always wondered that. It's like, I'm always nervous. And now you don't need it now, Mike, but before, to come into the States, you need a rapid test. So if you're like in a Belize or something, you get positive, what are you going to do there?
Yeah.
The food sucks.
Stay in Belize.
Going to go in Belize.
I'm trying so hard to lose some weight. I'm going to go on this diet that's called intermittent fasting.
Oh, intermittent fasting.
I can't even say it, but I already didn't do it right twice.
I've dropped 130 pounds on
You're kidding?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I weighed 489 pounds. And no, more. I was 489, and now I'm 327. So I've lost... I cut out bread and sugar, and then nothing after 7:30 at night till the next day. So even today now I haven't eaten yet. I'm gonna wait till after we're done here. And at one point, Mike, I was about 11 pounds away from my own reality show on Discovery. I was at 489, and now I'm 320, so about 160 pounds, I guess,
Jesus
something like that.
Christ.
And even this shirt, this is a 3X, 2X, 4X now. They're getting big. because I was always big.
He was going to wear a Marino 2024 shirt, but we didn't have his particular size. When you stay on this diet, then we'll get you
Then
the
I'm going to
size.
get on. Next time I'm going to put
sleeves.
it. Mike Marino for president. He should be president. Mike Marino should be president.
Whole gag has been going on
Fuck Trump
for a
and
long
Biden.
time.
Him should be president. He'll get shit done right away, man. Gas will be $2 a gallon in 2 months.
Personally, you're married and you have a kid, right?
Yeah.
And how old's your kid?
9.
9. Adorable.
9. Yes, she is adorable. She's my apple of my eye. And she's like, she wants to be a comic.
No.
I got issues with it. She wrote a joke. Mike. Tell me if this is funny. I think it was very funny. And I didn't tell her nothing. She comes in, she goes, Daddy, I stepped on a piece of cereal in the kitchen. Does that make me a serial killer?
That's hilarious.
That's hilarious.
She made that up.
And I told a few other friends, she goes, hold on. Who did you write that? She wrote it. I stepped on a piece of cereal in the kitchen. Does that make me a serial killer? I go, honey, that is so smart on so many levels. And she's got a quick wit. And she goes, I go, why don't you become a hedge fund manager or a doctor? No, I want to be a comic.
Crap.
I go, fuck, no, you don't want to be a comic. And
well, she might be right for a particular project.
maybe something, yeah, for something, exactly. But she's smart. And she goes, now she goes to me, Daddy, I want to take acting lessons. I'm like, I'm fucked. I think but I mean, she's a product of her environment. Her mom was in the business too. My wife worked at CBS. And then she's always seeing us auditioning or podcasting or talking. And she watched with me, America Italian again. And she loved it. So I mean, she's like, even when I'm on stage, I'll call her up, boom, kids on stage. Like, no, they gave me this award in Canada, a recognition award. And they got something for Olivia, and she's jumped right on stage. And I'm like, I'm fucked. This kid's not scared of the crowds or nothing. She's like, wants to go right into it. So, I don't know.
I used to do a joke because I have a niece, and back in the day, we were introducing her to agents in New York, and they passed on my niece because although she's really good looking and she's pretty, when she was about 8, and we took her into city to meet with agents.
Right.
They said she doesn't have it because she would get very shy very fast.
Mm.
And kids in New York who want to be in this business, they'll jump all over you.
Mine talks.
Well, I used to do a joke on stage, and I would say, yeah, I taught my niece how to do stand-up comedy, but my family got mad at me. And I don't know why. I thought she was pretty good. I taught her how to do Robert De Niro. So she goes like this. You fucked my wife. And I don't know why my family got mad at me. That's pretty good for a kid. I should take that joke back out.
That's actually funny, man. You fucked my wife. I thought you could say you're looking at me. You're talking to me. You look at this guy. You fucked my wife. It always comes down. Every movie has that one line in it. Hey, I want to ask you something. You fucked my wife.
Well, it's Raging
Bull.
Bull.
Down, it's a Raging Bull,
You don't even have to remember the movie to get the joke.
Yeah,
I mean, the audacity that I would teach.
I don't know why they're
kid.
mad. You fucked my wife.
I don't know why they're mad. That's pretty good for a kid.
That's hilarious, man.
Well, tell us what's going on, man. Where are you going to be going? You don't have to mention any time zones, but how do we get in touch with you and where and how and this and that?
The main funnygreek.com. Funny, not geek, Greek. It's all on the website. So if there's stuff going on, but I'm all over the place, I can make up shit. That's what they do in LA, but I don't. There's gigs coming up. I'm going to Vegas. But you and I migrate in the same patterns.
I see it.
We do. So we kind of swim together parallel. Reno, I love Reno Laugh Factory. Vegas Laugh Factory, I love it. I'm going to Edmonton at the comic strip, which is awesome. And we're starting, because after COVID, it's been hard to get back into places. So we're starting to see and Laugh Factory or Long Beach, and Costco, Home Depot. I've been going there a lot lately, Mike, because my fucking wife just keeps taking me to these places. We need this, we need that.
Well, you're a homeowner.
I'm a homeowner now.
You got to do
a homeowner now. And it's like everybody, you're a homeowner. It's a nightmare because I'm gone all the time. But she does most of the stuff. But I'm becoming very familiar with Costco and Home Depot and Lowe's. You ever go to Lowe's?
I love going to Lowe's. It's like a high-end Costco.
Yeah.
You go in there, you think what you want, and then you go get it at Costco.
You gotta, yeah,
You
exactly.
get someplace else. Either that or you go to a garage sale and you
Garage
get it
sale.
because they don't know what to do with it anymore.
Right.
I think one of the greatest things in the world these days is you could buy anything you want at a Lowe's.
Yeah.
And you get a good deal. You don't have to call some contractor to come and say, go
No.
get this for me.
But I still like going to the stores. Like, my wife goes, I don't buy much stuff. Amazon, she didn't buy anything for 2 days, and Jeff Bezos called and said if we were okay. Are you guys okay? Because why? We haven't got an order in 2 days. I go, and my wife's always like this. I didn't order anything. And all of a sudden, bing bong, Amazon, bing bong, Prime, bing bong, this.
I like going to the store. I like seeing
I'm the
it
same
with my
way.
friends. I see it in front of me. I want to see what it's all about. But I have started shopping on Amazon, and I started shopping on Amazon because of Tatiana. Because they buy, her and her husband, they buy all this technical electrical
It's good price.
stuff on the internet.
priced.
It's a great price, but for some reason or other, I just never did it. But I started doing it lately. I taught myself how to do a lot of this stuff. I'm trying to learn.
Tatiana, I have put the needle in you, Mike. Now you're going to be I need some here. Amazon. What am I? Paper clips. Oh, yeah. And 20 minutes later, at your door, ding, here's your paper clips.
You can't use this. You got to use that.
Yeah.
I can't believe you didn't know how to do this. Figure this out. Go on down. I'm like, oh, God, please, I'm going to jump off a building.
Remember when you were scared to put your credit card on your internet, and now you're at the store and how much is it? Beep. And okay, see you later. Like now we're like beep beep. You want a receipt? No, I don't give a shit. Fuck me. It doesn't care. It's so funny that we have the. And before we're like, oh, your credit card. I don't want to put my information online. And now we're like, oh, zing out the door. It's like, and you're doing this sometimes. It's not working.
I don't know if you could do anything without a phone.
Yeah,
I can't
no,
get
no.
around. I don't
Now
know
you
where
need
to
it.
go. I don't
Now
know
you
what
need
I'm
it.
doing. But we're in the game. We're having some fun. The world seems to be opening up. And we're getting ready to go back out on tour and make people
100%,
laugh
brother.
around the
100%.
fucking world. You're one of my
100%.
favorite people in the industry. You're one of my favorite comedians. You make me laugh. Once again, tell everybody how they can find you on the internet, from Instagram. Name them all.
Lobster tube. I made one video. No. No.
I'm trying to get on that. You got to have a friend.
Yeah, I heard. Somebody told me about it, Mike. I'm not sure.
Lobster
But,
tube.
Lobster tube. Oh, it's great. It's a very recreational site. But no, check me out. It's funnygreek.com. Funny Greek. FUNNYGREEK.com. There's Tsarouchas.com, Mike, but nobody can spell Tsarouchas. So go to
Is there really a
funnygreek.com.
Tsarouchas.com?
Yeah, I got the name.
Yeah, nobody's ever going to spell that. I can't
No,
spell it.
Tsarouchas, yeah. TSAROUCHAS. Angelo. I tried to get Angelo, but that was gone
Funny
fast.
Greek is great.
Funny Greek. I
That's
thought,
easy
funny
to
Greek
remember.
guy.
Angelo Tsarouchas, ladies and gentlemen, funnygreek.com. He co-stars in an unbelievable web series called Make America Italian Again that you can watch on my YouTube channel, which
That's
is Mike Marino Live on YouTube. In fact, you can watch everything that comes from my team live from my mother's basement. I'm on iTunes, Google, Spotify, Anchor. We're also on Italian American Radio in
Nice.
New York City, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok. Now I'm making TikToks.
Oh, yeah. I started doing it, too, because of my kid.
She's probably going to be famous.
Yeah,
within
sure.
the next year on
TikTok. You'll do a TikTok. You'll do a little dance.
So you
and,
got to dance.
You got to dance around on
So dance will
TikTok.
get you views. You write a genius joke, you ain't going to get no views.
No.
Take a shit on your bed. You'll go
Yeah.
through the roof.
Dan, my pants
Especially
fell down.
now.
Put on
Hurry
TikTok.
up and get in the game. You got till next Wednesday.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's true.
some girl was at a comedy show last night and she kept singing about shitting on the bed. That was her rap song. I'm like, oh my God, can you wait till I'm done eating? Big shout out to my producer, Tatiana Blue Show, for always making these podcasts absolutely
She's
fantastic.
awesome. She's awesome.
Thank you so much. If you think you could be on my show live from my mother's basement, why don't you show us why you think you could be on this show?
Great
All
idea.
you have to do is write to my producer, Tatiana, at MikeMarinoEntertainment@gmail.com. Let her know why you think you could be on this show. You want to sponsor a show? We'll take your money. We'll publicize anything that you got going on in the world. And
They
we can
should.
do it. Yeah, you should.
They should. It's a good
In fact,
show.
do you have it sponsored with your
Good
cigars? Because you smoke a lot of
I
cigars.
guess I do have one. La Polina cigars.
See?
I got La Polina cigars. And they're
La
awesome.
Polina cigars sounds like an Italian cigar for some
Yeah, it's
reason.
not La Polina. They're good guys, and they sponsor when we do the podcast, and we got to get you on with me and Frank. Manic Monday, we do the live one.
All right.
We go live on IG. It's IG. We don't tape it like this, but
Well, you can write to me at MikeMarinoLive@gmail.com. We'll take in a sponsor. We'll show you how to make that happen. Listen, we had a great time taping and recording and coming to your house live from my mother's basement. Remember, let's make America Italian again. Our motto is you don't know nothing, you don't see nothing, you don't say nothing. And how do I end every single one of my broadcasts? By always saying the same thing.
That's right. Okay, ready. Don't take no shit from nobody.
Hey folks, I hope you're enjoying watching my podcast live from my mother's basement. We're having a lot of fun, and I'm going to have a lot of great guests on the show in the future. So if you like it, hit like. You could also leave a comment. You could subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch other funny videos. And you could also listen to my podcast on your favorite podcast app like Spotify and iTunes.